Welcome to another Fishing Adventures of Judah Clark, starring Kimber Blackfin Clark and myself, the co-star of the show, Judah Clark. Now we're going to be doing a whole series of films on sharks for the next couple of days, and we're going to do something a little bit different than everyone else. I'm going to share with you a couple of things that I've experienced with sharks, my perspective. This is not going to be a major educational series. This is going to be my perspective on sharks. My experience with sharks originally started with a major fear of sharks. Now, I'm not one to admit when I'm fearful, but truthfully, I was probably pretty fearful of sharks. I grew up in Atlanta, and when I would come down to fish offshore, you would just see things in the water that just would freak you out,
Oh, whoa! What is that?
You're a shark. You'd be fishing and a shark would just come up and just tear your fish right off the hook. Chop it dead clean in half, and you'd be like, whoa, glad that wasn't my leg in that water. Just things, that you're like, man, I do not want to get in that water.
Oh my god, it's a shark!
What?
There's like a shark there.
I was coming down and I was just experiencing offshore fishing. And I remember this one particular situation where I took a couple of girls out fishing, and this one girl said, is it okay if I jump in the water? It's like, oh, I don't want to jump in the water. Sharks in there, I thought she was kind of crazy. She jumped in, she's swimming around, and nobody else got in the water. 4 or 5 of us, we're not getting in the water. No way. The shark could just come up and just take a chunk right out of your leg. And I thought she was crazy. But you know what? Now I think that thought was crazy, because I can't even imagine being that fearful of sharks. Coming from a totally ignorant side of life about sharks to a totally educated world about sharks. And that's kind of what I want to share with you as my experience. When I was a fisherman, you did not want to come across sharks. They were just a pest, they were just a nuisance. And now that I'm a spear fisherman, they're still a nuisance, but I definitely don't have the same fear for them, more of a respect and appreciation for them than I did before. Sharks don't want to hurt humans. Sharks want food. They want fish. As soon as they get a hold of a human flesh, they let go usually. You rarely hear about sharks just devouring a human whole. You hear about shark bites, and that usually happens when a shark has mistaken a human as food, or they are running through a bait ball with their mouths wide open and your leg just happens to be there, or they mistake you for a seal and they take a big bite. There are probably instances where sharks are extremely hungry and they're going to test the human. They might even try to eat a human. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but it's not a normal occurrence. And it's not something that, you need to be so fearful of in life. when you're spearfishing, you know, it's pretty wild to just drop down on the bottom and you're sitting on the bottom just waiting for a fish to come in, and instead of a fish coming in, it's a massive bull shark that's just coming straight at you. I mean, it's a very exhilarating feeling. And I can tell you the feeling that I had back in the day was a lot more anxiety about that situation. Now I kind of like get excited when I see them coming in, because I know they're not coming in to harm me whatsoever. I mean, they will come straight at you and just turn right at the last second, but they're not going to bite you, you know? The one thing you need to worry about with sharks is if you have a fish, a bloody fish, that's freaking out and flailing all over the place, you definitely want to get a hold of that fish, bring it into you, or get it out of the water. Because if you have a fish out here and you're holding it out and the shark thinks that it can come and snag that fish from you, it's going to try. And if your hand's right there holding that fish, you've got a problem. There have been people that have had their hands clean bitten off in that situation.
Hey, Grandpa almost had him.
Oh boy.
Yeah, good shot.
That shark has a really long fishing line on him, so be careful.
They can be dangerous, but so are cars. Cars are dangerous. Pit bulls are dangerous. Labs, okay, maybe not labs. Labs are not dangerous. But there's a lot of things that are dangerous in life if you don't know how to properly take precautions. And sharks are one of those things, you know. You need to be careful with them. You need to, handle them properly. And if you do it right, then there's no harm.